Okay. Hey Reese, how's it going, man? I haven't really done a colouring live stream before, so I should probably for all the one per 5 people watching. Okay, great. So if anyone's curious, when I'm colouring, you know, the piece is going to be like this. So this is the black and white cover I've drawn for Will Robson's. He's got a he's doing a Kickstarter for his MOBSTER MASH series, which looks really good. So there he is. Terrible. Yes, it's a terrible cover, I know, but you know, that's what I'm going for. I'm going for one of my worst. So when I have this, I basically will send. This is done. So I'll send this to my production assistant, who's Tatiana. So what she'll do is she'll take this and she will flat it. Now, but this is also based off my colour roughs. So what I do when I do my roughs is, that's not right. Why is it orange? I don't know. Oh, because I think I was playing with orange at one stage. This is my initial rough that I did, and then I coloured it, popped in some flat colour, and I think I played around with maybe doing orange at first, but then I changed my mind to green. And I basically, I'll kind of play around with colour. I basically coloured the rough, for lack of a better phrase. I actually kind of work out what the colour is going to be, where I'm going to render and stuff. It's probably more work than I really need to do in the roughs, but I find it gives me a really good place to like start from when I sing the Tate Tech song. No, that's it, I'm done. Oh, can everybody hear me? I think the microphones should be close enough to me, but let me know if you can't hear me, and I'll start shouting. Hi, Matt Seaborn. Tooth, hey. Okay, there's a few people popping along. So yeah, so I did this rough a while ago for Will. I sent it on to him. He hated it, but then I threatened to walk, and he came back crawling to me. So I was like, fine, I'll do your stinking cover. But no, Will was of course very nice. I think I told him I was going for a bit of a Scarecrow vibe from Batman animated series, and since he does a podcast based on that, I figured he'd be okay with it. So yeah, so then I think Will, once I had maybe 3 weeks ago, I handed in this bad boy. And at the moment now, I've inked a lot of covers this month, and I'm basically colouring them over the next couple of days before I head away to a show. I prefer do, either penciling or do inking or colouring in as a confined time frame as I can, because I find it hard switching gears constantly. But oh, of course, Matt. Jeez. Yeah, sorry, Matt. Hey, Matt. How's it going? Let me see what I'm doing now. But yeah. So I didn't think anybody would pop along to this. So, but I wanted to try and at least record me colouring something, because I haven't done it in a long time. So yeah. So as you can see in this, I have a little bit of a kind of a gradient here. A bit of a tone here, some light rendering, more rendering. Now what I do is, you'll see me as I'm colouring this, I colour strong. So I kind of went in on a hot kind of orangey yellow here, and then I've been experimenting more in the last few months is layer what you call them, layer settings, whatever, I don't know, changing the layers. And yeah, using more screen layers and stuff like that. So you can see here that I played around with it. So I'll go heavy and then I'll knock it right back, just so I can try to build up layers of value essentially. So you can see here, then I added another one, but again, I just went hard on that one, and then I changed it to screen, and then I bumped it up here, and I only really did one tone on the purple. Except for the very rim light. So you can see I kind of worked it all out in the rough. I did all of my kind of thinking in the rough. So basically not all I have to do, this is the hard part, but well, it's not the hard part, it's just the labour part, is apply that same approach to the finished cover. Bud, it was the mash. It was the Mobster Mash. It was a gangland smash. Yeah, there's your theme music now, Will. I feel like the peak of his jacket collar, the little peak of his jacket collar catching light. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I tried to get the very high rim light on it on the top, on the very top of his hat, but yeah, try keep the focus. You know, like I feel like more lighting on the bandages pops the face out more than say lots of rendering on the jacket and stuff. But yeah, sure, man. I'll send you those. Yeah, just remind me because I will forget. And as you can see, I kind of have him going like with a come hither moment to the reader, but I changed in the end. I didn't think it was really reading too well, so I changed it to him having a little coin because he is a gangster and he likes money. You see, storytelling. Always just thinking about that. Let me see. Okay, right. I'll respond away to people as I can, but I'm going to also try concentrate here. So yeah, so these are all the flat colours that Tatiana did for me. This wasn't too complicated, but I've just basically popped in some light. I'm doing it on a dissolve layer because I just want a bit more texture to the background. But yeah, you can see for those popping in, this, you know, I'm going heavy. This is the full color, and then I knocked it back to like, I tend to knock everything back up to about 70-ish, just so I can kind of build up in it. So yeah, there's a bit more there. Now I'd be tempted to go and highlight that more, but I'm going to leave it at that for now and just start working on the actual thing here. I'm going to do the very boring job of selecting these areas of wash, because I know I'm gonna do a color hold on them. I do it on there, a little bit of gold as well. I wouldn't do color holds on all the wash bits because it would take forever. But you know, this is jewelry, so I know I'm going to want to do something kind of like I don't want any like black in the color. Tatiana normally does these for me, but like she'll be going by like if I've done it in the roughs, so if it's not very clear, she wouldn't, which is fine because, like, you know, I wouldn't want her doing it all on this. This is going to stay the way it is. And ready there. Also, Will, this is me making up for not live streaming the cover itself because I think I did it at like 3 in the morning listening to Star Trek. It wasn't really conducive to live streaming. Okay, and I'll do it, I think, on his chin here as well. Will, actually, do you want to pop the link to your Kickstarter in the chat there so people can find it? I should have thought of it myself, but I didn't. I'll do it. I'll have my friend who does video editing. I'm going to ask him to do like a time lapse of this, and I'll stick the link in there. Yeah, I think I'll do the same on the chain link, but not with the lasso tool. I'll just do it with a brush. Right. So what I do then is on a separate layer I put my color holes, just for anybody who doesn't know. Just for now I'll just use just a dark color and right, so basically as you can see here all those bits are selected, and I'll do a clipping mask on that layer which is on top of the rest, and that'll change all the black line or whatever I selected into a color. So I'll change this one to something darker here. Let's change those to more of a green. And I always do a color hold on my signature because I like to push it back in the colors. Let me see. Oh, a little mummer on there, is he? Hey Reese, no tape decks lined up. I just got busy again with all these covers and some personal stuff coming up, but I was doing one with Alex Packnadell, and his audio wasn't working, so we never quite rescheduled it, and then I just kind of fell off the wagon. But I don't know what I'll do. I don't know what I'll do the next one, to be honest. I don't have a plan. I like to try and time it for when somebody I know has something coming out. Sorry, I'm just gonna. But I just haven't quite worked that out yet. I'm never going to be an actual podcaster or anything, so I'm not stressing it too much. I just kind of I do it when it's fun. There's no point trying to make a big thing out of it, but it is a very helpful tool to have. So I'll take suggestions. I mean, throw some suggestions if you want, but I try to keep it as people who I've actually worked with. But like, it was working with Alex because he had Sentinels coming out and he had something else coming out. But I might try grab him again. Am I coloring with a mouse? No, I'm not coloring with a mouse. Sorry, I'm actually using a mouse right now. But no, I also have a Wacom tablet. I used to color with a mouse, which is why coloring never really worked for me. It was a friend of mine who just gave me a Wacom tablet and said, please use this. And then all of a sudden, coloring went a lot smoother and easier. And yeah, I had a lot of... I didn't realize the Wacom tablet, you could like have a lot of like, you know, different levels of line weight and stuff, how sensitive it was to touch. So I was basically trying to paint with a hammer for years. So thankfully, I learned my lesson. We love one from Rafa or Luke. Luke would be a good... Oh, shite, you said the new issue out. See, the problem is, to sound like a dickhead, like, but if it's all just with the new people I'm working with, it becomes very niche. I'm happy to do that, but I also think I need like some kind of bigger people to kind of, you know, like Jerry Duggan or what have you, just to get people who, you know, mightn't be checking out my stuff to check it out. You know, people like Luke aren't going to bring like a big new audience, but I still also clearly really want like to give them the spotlight too. So, you know, if it gets too niche, I think you're not going to get a larger audience. But I also just don't want to like be hunting, you know, big names or anything. Like, you know, I had Colin on, and Colin is as new as you can get. Who else have I had on? But yeah, I'd like maybe the next. I'd like to do something new with Luke. Maybe then, because he'll have more work under his belt. Adam Hughes. Yeah, I think he might still. Adam Hughes might still colour with a mouse. Rafa would make sense though, because of the Thundercat stuff, and I think he's doing quite well. So actually, I'll and I meant to talk to him at Dublin Comic Con, but I didn't really get too much of a chance. So that's a good idea. Excuse me. Okie dokie, I should probably colour. But drawing with a mouse is also very blunt and cumbersome. True, they scratched the tablet as well. Hey, Jamie, there he is. That's I was mentioning you there earlier. Oh crap! No, don't. Fucking yoke. Right. Yeah, Jamie, I'm recording this, so I'll be looking to make an old time lapse out of it. I imagine you have to cut a lot of this talking and no colouring. Let me see. Where am I going to layers? Okay, so I'm going to just basically copy what I did in the roughs. So as you can see here, I have a layer of purple. I'm not a big purple guy, but you know, when it works, it works. And I don't know if you can see this on the screen, but basically there's it's a opacity of 30%. So I do this with a lot of covers. Is I'll nope. I basically do overlays. No, can't do that. Sorry, I'm not thinking right at all. No, Jesus fucking Christ, Shelby, would you? Okay, here we go. Okay, so I have a block of purple on him, and that is, I generally do that to just have an overall kind of tone, so that everything isn't all local color. By the end, you won't even notice it, but I think it kind of ties everything together a little bit. I mean, you know, it silhouettes it in a large way, but you know, I don't want it too heavy. I want a light tone of color over it, and then what I'm going to do then is paint on top of that. Yeah, it's nice to be coloring for a change. I should do these more often, but it depends. I wouldn't Will told me he didn't mind if I broadcast this live, so I figured I'd give that a lash. Actually, I know you might see here what I'm doing is I'm selecting his eyes and I'm cutting them out of that overlay because I want that red to be proper red that pops out from any kind of purple. I might do the same with the rubies. We'll see how I feel later on. But yeah, a lot of this time it's covers. Like if it's a Marvel thing, I can't really do this, or a DC thing, I can't really do this. So it's a nice opportunity to do a live stream. Pod, always with the lines. I respect that. Race. Erica, see, look, I'd love to get Erica on, like, but we haven't worked together on some. Well, we did a time for time cover, or she did one for me. But that's my one limitation, is it's somebody I've worked with, because I want to be able to talk about working together and not just what they're doing next. And once I break that rule, you know, then it could be any. But then again, maybe I should. I don't know. I know what I'm doing, sure. Okay, exactly. Terminator eyes. I'm making them Terminator-y. Okay, right. This actually isn't the most complicated cover to work on. And yet I'm making it very difficult for myself by talking all the time. Okay, so I'm going to basically deconstruct what I did on the rough, which is take this color, which is kind of a yellowy orange, and I'm just going to render on top of this. Okay. And the reason I think, now look, that's pretty cool, but I just thought it was too much. You know, it's the temptation is when you go heavy is like, oh, this looks class, but you know, I'm trying to build up layers of value rather than just like pop on cool color. But then again, you can always play around afterwards. What did I do? Okay, I just highlighted those areas. So I'm just gonna. The very helpful thing with, I'm gonna go to my standard brush is a kind of a ink brush pen-y type thing, but I knock the flow down a good bit so I can get more of a textured look. That makes more sense. Okay. Now I could have a lower opacity on the brush and just build up and paint and paint and paint, but I feel like that takes forever. It's very hard to undo. So that's why I work in these layers where I'll go heavy, lower the opacity and build it up, because then if I want to, I can play with the intensity of the colors later on. Oh, there we go, Reese. Always thinking ahead, huh? I mean, fair play. Good on you. Okay, where am I? I'm on the right layer. Okay. There's also a key when this guy we did time for time with Will Morris showed me a button on this keyboard that, like, if you do a line you can just erase it, which has saved my friggin' life so many times. I do try and not have it completely clean. I like in my drawing, I like a little bit of rough, so I try and keep that with the Okay, so it's a nice, like, harsh light on him. And I'm going. Oops. How long do you reckon you're streaming for? I have to dip out for about half an hour, but I don't want to miss this. I'd say I'll be an hour anyway. Will. I thought it'd be faster, but because I'm talking, I'm taking longer. So I'll definitely be an hour, another hour, I'd say. You can always watch it after, sure. It's up on the old YouTubes. So I basically will now paint over. I'll do a very basic top render on everything. I will not color under my washes because I've basically already done, like, rendering that way. But I'll try working a way where the base color is shining through as the basic color I'm working on, because you'll see, it works as your main. Well, that's too much, but I say 30. It'll work as your basic minimal light ultimately, and because I'm just working with 100% opacity, I'm not getting too painterly, with highlights and stuff like that. I'm basically just doing the bottom tone. That's how I see it. It's easy to get carried away, And I don't need to worry about being too particular or detailed, because it'll be a light color. You won't really even know. You're not going to notice a lot of the rendering, really, So basically, as long as I'm just matching my wash levels, or not, where the wash meets the non-wash, say. And because it'll be on different layers, I can kind of look and see what's what needs a bit more highlight, what doesn't. It's the wrong book, Rob. I'll be back as Terminator, not MOBSTER MASH. You don't even know your own book. Reese, you gotta be chill. You gotta push your own stuff, man. Excuse me. Reese, last weekend I listened to the episode you did with your mammy. Oh Jesus, fuck. Oh, forgot about that one. That's a few years ago. I have no idea what was said on it. It's weird. I put this stuff out and then I'd be surprised anyone knows anything about me. I'm like, how do you know that? It's like, well, you put out a podcast years ago. You fucking age it. See, I don't know how interesting this is to watch. Just going to do the rim of this bandage because if I recall, I wanted to keep, I want to keep that base shadow tone as the base shadow tone. Okay, did I do any on the? See, I don't think I really. I'll do a little bit here. I do kind of want to feel like the hand is shadowed by the shoulder, but I think maybe I can always take it back out. And I will say what I don't have in this is a secondary color, like which I think I might pop in some green, just because there's so much green in the background. We'll see. Oh, and Jamie, if you're still there, like partly why I'm doing this is because just to give you something to do since I don't have any tape decks. I was like, I gotta give Jamie some work. Yeah, the one thing is when when you do the rough, then you do the drawing. There are kind of more bits to kind of you want to bring out more that you couldn't have seen coming. Actually, I want to keep that green there. Take that out. Okay. Protective amnesia. Yeah, probably. Paul, here's an actual question. What sort of the challenges are drawing Terminators? I assume it's like abstract anatomy. I mean, look, I don't have too hard of a time drawing the Terminators because I'm just drawing them on the cover. I just did one and it's fully wearing clothes, so I can't really complain. But when I have done it, I guess it's where you think you're drawing a figure and you're not. Like you're drawing a figure because it's an exoskeleton, and then you look at the detail of the actual machine itself and you'll see, it's more of a chassis with, different kind of, it's got its own construction going on, really. So I'd say my problem is I'm drawing a figure and then I'm retroactively making it into a Terminator. But I would say it's more an issue with the guys who actually have to draw the thing itself. But I also try not to have too much Terminators in a story when I'm writing it because I know they're really hard to draw. For me, the cool thing about the Terminator is figuring out when do you put it in there. If it's there all the time, it's not scary. Silhouettes are great. Those red eyes are great. So it's a bit of a dance to go like, where's it going to be cool to draw a Terminator and when's it going to be a real pain in the arse to draw one, and try, make life a little bit easier for the artists. But it also works dramatically too, because if the Terminator's in the whole story, then it kind of, it's not really scary anymore. What should I do on the teeth? I didn't do too much, just there. So you can see, like, it is, it's not perfectly slick, it's a little rough. was a good insight into young Dick, and I feel we had similar childhoods. That's interesting. I'm tempted to go back and listen to it now, but I think I might cringe too much. I mean, was it pre-COVID? Can't remember. Or during COVID? I can't remember. Show you something actually. Yeah, edit this out, Jamie, of the edit, but I'm working on this at the moment. It's taking me ages and ages to color this fucking thing, but I'm so far really happy with it. It's nearly done, just some more background stuff, but I needed a break, so that's why I'm colouring this cover now. Right. Oh, hey, Owen, how's it going, man? Can confirm as regards they're hard to draw. It's actually slightly different because Rory wrote pretty much wrote the issue Owen's doing at the moment, and that was my one note to him, was that like we need a prop. There's Terminators in it, they're more kind of like in the background, but I kind of said like we definitely need a moment where like here's the fucking Terminators, because while they are very hard to draw for different angles and different positions, they're also very, very, very cool to draw. So I think anybody drawing an issue Terminator, they need a page where it's just like, you know, here's a fucking cool Terminator. Just not every page, because that will kill them. Which is fine, I don't mind. Who cares about artists anyway? Jamie, that's gorgeous. Oh, the turtles. Thanks, yeah, thanks, man. It's taken a long time, but yeah, it's just so cool to draw and color. I'm probably coloring it more than I really should be, but you know, some images are fast, some are long. You know, you try and like figure out what's the best thing to spend time on. Sometimes a really well-paying cover ends up being something you knock together pretty fast. Sometimes something you're not paid a lot of money for ends up being something you want to spend a lot of time on. It depends. So yeah, you can see here again, I'm selecting areas that are like the base color, and the wash is doing a lot of the value work anyway. So Pod Guillermo del Toro has an idea for the dramatic image of monster. They need to reveal some new form to maintain its terror. See alien life cycle or to reveal something new. Maybe, I don't know. What does he know anyway? I'm the writer Terminator, you guys. What has Guillermo del Toro ever done? I ask you. Think about it. Now, I could be using a different brush for the metal bits, but you know what? Fuck it. I know that's not true. I'll change brushes for some things, like you know, I've used a watercolor brush on a dissolve layer up here, but I try not to get too finicky with the stuff. You know, I'd probably use a cream brush on the gems just for a different effect. But I try and just keep it as, you know, I don't want to say basic, but like, you know, just try and not make life too difficult for myself either. No, I probably shouldn't have done any of this because I'll colour the gold differently than I'll colour everything else. Oh, and yeah, I just did the splash page with them, but I draped 80% of them in shadow. Yeah, well, yeah, there you go, perfect. The point is, you have a cool shot. I think writers, and don't have to go at Rory here at all. Like unless you're an artist, you don't understand that like you need a page where you just want to go, yeah, savage. Because then the temptation is you end up trying to do it everywhere and it doesn't work. You know, and that's how you get to like 90s image comics. But you know, you got to give somebody something to play with. And like I'm sure you know, Owen wouldn't say the rest of the issue isn't visual. You know, like Rory knows how to write visual stuff, but you know, unless you draw that instinct of like wanting, look, what it is, showing off. Everybody wants to show off. If you're an artist, you want to show off. Now, if I was smart now, I would have deselected these fucking gold bits. Made my life easier. Again, trying to remember this doesn't need to be perfect. This is just the base layer. I actually want it to be a little rough. Basically, I'm drawing with my right, or I'm rendering my right hand, and my left hand will either be hovering the size keys for the brush, or the erase, or the button that switches it to an eraser. But it's not just an eraser; it's a brush eraser. Like an eraser will have that kind of faded effect that I hate. But this brush is lovely, or this key is lovely because it basically just makes it a negative brush. Okay, did I color this color? Oh, I didn't draw. See, there you go. I didn't draw a color on him, so in the rough. Right, so you can see that's all of the main, you know, highlight on him. So I'm going to change this to screen, which really brightens it, but it's too much. And then I'm going to knock it down to 30, like it's in the rough. So as you can see, like, you know, the detail doesn't matter so much because you're basically just kind of, whatever I didn't render is a base color now. And screen also means that it's the same, whatever you're painting on top, underneath the value comes through a little. So this is my where's the hook? There it is. Yeah, you can't. Okay, sorry, you can't see my key here, but can you see that? Yeah. This area is different to this area, is different to this area, ever so slightly, because it's a screen layer rather than a normal layer. So that's quite helpful, because that way you're adding value to every layer rather than having to do it separately, which I was doing for a good while actually. Took way too long. Okay, what am I doing next? What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this green, and I am going to pop on some highlights here. Again, this isn't in the rough, this comes from working on the final here. Ooh, wrong one, wrong layer, new layer. So since there's so much green next to him, I'm just gonna do a little bit of like reflective environmental light here. Erase. So as much as you plan in the rough doesn't mean it's going to be exactly what you had planned, but okay. Any words? Yeah. What helps actually is because when I'm doing washes, I'll do like I'll kind of leave a rim, and that's quite helpful when I'm coloring because I'll end up popping a color in there. And let's see. And then I'm just going to knock that back a bit. Yeah, so it's nice and subtle, nothing too crazy. Do you know what, actually, I think I'll... add a little garage in here as well. See how that looks. Now, is that too much? Right. Might be, yeah, might be a bit, gonna knock it, once I knock it down a bit, it might be, yeah, nice and soft, nothing too crazy. You can even notice that. Yeah, nice and subtle. I hope. Do you know how that looks on the gold? I guess it's okay. I don't know, we'll see. Can always review it later on, you know. Whoops, what did I do there? Oh, there we go. Pud took advice to commission an artist for a script. It's very exciting. Great, glad to hear it, man. gonna maybe play with the layer. I'll check. I'll tweet that later. Okay, where was I? Okay, I am going to do the second layer of light on him now, which. How are we doing? Okay, so that's that done. So now I'm going to do these little highlights, as you can see, where the light really kind of hits. So I'm not going to go over every single bit that I did in the last one. I'm basically choosing what bits I'm going to pop more, where the light really hits hardest or harder. Oh, Skullduggery. The hat reminds of Skullduggery Pleasant. I have never actually read it, so I couldn't. I think I've seen some covers though. I know Derek. He's lovely. You know, he writes Marvel for Marvel. Nobody seems to know this, but like the writer of Skullduggery Pleasant like writes regularly for Marvel Comics. Some actually will fucking select. Yeah. you can see, I'm not very good for naming my layers or anything, which is bad. I should be better at it. Why is that not working? How much did I? What a nice bit of light on his chest to kind of pop it out. Change my mind. I'm gonna just put a little bit of light down here. Just a bit. Okay. Okay. It's nice and bright, but it's still a bit too bright, too jarring. Let's bring it down to, what was it down here? Why is it? I got it at 100. And again, it's a rough. I think 100 is too much on here. Yeah, 100's a bit too much. It's going to knock that down to 70. Whatever, ink pulp. That shows for losers. Tape decks where it's at, guys. Okay, so another bit of highlight here. Again, I'm getting more and more selective about where the light hits. Doing it all in the rough really helps, but like when you're working on the big finished piece, sometimes there's just more layers of development you need to do. Let's go to screen, so I'm actually painting a screen. Yeah, that's nice. What layer am I on now? Okay, this should be here. More to lightening his chest than say his neck. Okay. Now I'm going to do one more layer on him. Same thing, just I'm going to just go white. And I can soften it after. I just want to really hit some real highlights on like the tip of the mask thingy here. Just right where the primary light's going to hit his face. Like absolute highlights. I'll snap that like a small bit. I don't know if you can see the difference there. Oh, actually a bit on his chin too. Yeah. Okay, so that's I would say that's most of the work done now. So I'm going to take all those layers. What's this one? This is a downside of not marking your layers. Okay, I'm just going to put all these guys and just put that in a folder just to go. Right. So that's all of his rendering in one go. So let's see what I'm going to do now is I'm going to deal with the jewellery and then see where I am. Oh, thanks, Will. Good. It is a little weird having the person who you're doing this for watching you do it. But anyway, here's what it is. Yeah, what am I doing? You see, there'll be the eyes. The colour holes are done. Stick those back in. I think I'll work on the jewellery and then I'll see about that secondary lighting, eyes, and a bit of texture, and that'll be the feckin' that coin. Do you know what? I'll do that now because I'm worried I'll forget it. And this time I will actually. What's on this layer? Nothing. Okay, coin. You're the coin now. And I might just do all this in one layer just to have it done. Coin. I'm trying to do it faster, better. Oh, thanks, bud. I might add just a little bit of a gradient to that, but again, I'll just do all this other detail first. So I'm going to do G. I'm going to paint the underside of it that same green, but knock that back a bit. Yeah, just so it's not too green. So I want to look at metal. Okay, and then the top of it. I'm just going to go heavy with this and then play around with it in the layers, see how it looks. Yeah, normally first looks good the first way. But I'll soften that and then I build up on it with more of a tone down those blues because I don't want it to look like a blue thing. I want it to look metal. Yeah, it's better. Okay, and then I'm going to go and do another color hold layer and do a little bit of a glow on this. So that means I'm going to take my opacity and take it right down. See how this looks. It's a bit heavy. I'm just lightly painting kind of a grey on top of on the black line art here. I'll do another. I'll do it. Tiny little gradient there just to kind of bump that up. Yeah, it's nice. Okie doke. Yeah, and I think. There's a little bit of gradient on the hat, just to soft, so it's not so flat. Yes, green, but I want to soften it a bit. So I mean, just kind of softens that a bit. Okay, and now the jewellery. I think that I like more green on the mummy, but it looks a bit wonky on the jewellery here, so I'm going to copy that, delete it, and paste it on another layer and see if I can do something else with that. Yeah, like that's better, I think. Yeah, that's better. Okay, we're getting there. So, let's see. Oh, it's not. You'll have to cancel all your other covers and draw more. I don't think so, man. I've seen your issue. I think you're the right choice of artist for this book. It really does look great, man. Looking over it, the colours are lovely too. I can't remember who you've coloured it, the issue, but it looks great. Okay, where's I? First, I think I'm going to change the colours of the holes to something a bit redder. Oh, wrong one. Okay, that's better. Right, now. Dollhouse, that's it. I'll use a different brush for this one. I'm going to say creamy. And I'm going to go with a proper I like this brush because it's a little like sloppier paint kind of look. A little choppier, just fun to paint. I mean, sorry, tips for colouring jewellery. Well, I find that I seem to have found a happy place where if I'm inking in a rim, I'll play around with that, and then what I'm doing here now is, you can see I've popped in a kind of a bright colour to clash against this other reflective colour. But what I'm going to do is I kind of want a rich colour, but I am again going to knock it down to that, so there's like yellow light hitting it. And then what I'm going to do is and then I'm going to knock in a proper see, can I get that as a kind of a light screen? Yeah, there we go, screen. Knowing where to put in the highlights. I've already kind of factored in for that when I was doing the inks. Yeah, but I guess like heavy on the reflective color, I would say, and then very heavy on the highlights. I can't say like I've read a book where I'm like, oh, this is it. It's just kind of happened out of practice, really. Because I just noticed I didn't colour in these little bits that I'd left in the ink. So you know what, this is where for gold I think it does help to actually block in those areas. Okay, I think that's there, but I still think I need another highlight layer. I'm going to go in this. It's not quite white, but it's pretty close. Put a bit of a gradient on this just to make it sheen a little. Might be too yellow. Yeah. Screen seems to be the thing I'm going to more than anything else these days. Yeah, that works. Is it looking a bit too bronzy? Yeah, it's going to make it a bit more yellowy. Yeah, that's better, I think. And lastly, I'm going to do those little jewels. Or not lastly, the eyes still. think what I'll do with that is I'm just going to do white with the creamy thing again. Now, how's this going to work? Ooh, it's got a nice blue on that actually. Now I could just bring down the opacity. Yeah, I think I'll do that. That way, I'm working with my grey wash rendering too. Okay, might be a bit too much. Yeah, might go down to that, and then I'm going to do another layer. I'll do those highlight bits. Oh, thanks, that guy. That's looking pretty cool. Tooth, convince me I don't need to buy a 55-gallon steel drum to turn into Halloween decoration. Look, man, I can't tell you what not to do. Alright, that sounds pretty good idea to me. I can't see any negative effects in any way, so I say go with it. Although I cannot be held responsible for decisions. What am I doing here? Let me see, Will. I have your issue here. Does his eyes glow? How glowy are they? They're a little glowy. Pretty glowy. Okay. So let me see. I'm gonna go. Small little crowd here on the eyes. What am I looking for here? Watercolor brush, maybe? I try not to go with straight gradients because I think they can look a little bit uniform. Have a little bit of texture. I also don't want to go too crazy with the glows. Okay. Mix in, let me see. look. You know, actually the watercolor brush is a little bit size, so it's a bit oblong, so it's not as spherical here as I'd like it to be. There we go, it's better. What do you think? Well, should I go pure white for the eyes? If you're there. I think I might have to. Yeah, I mean, neither. I don't know, did the red eyes look better? I do love a good red eye myself. I think sort of because I'm used to doing the red eyes with Terminator, like with the hot white inside. I think actually might, or even just slight. I do like that with the light in the center, but maybe some more red showing around it. Let's see. That's the worst of both worlds now. I think the less glow, the better, personally. I'm leaning towards this, where it's the red eyes, but you can see there's a little bit of a highlighted within and a tiny little bit of a glow on it, like subtle. That's my feeling. Because with the light on the nose and everything, with the white inside the eyes, I think it pulls the focus too much. Whereas here the eyes are peering out from under the shadows. So I think I'll go with that. Yeah, that way this glow isn't competing with anything, and yeah, I think that's it. I just don't think it's the background enough now. Let me see. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. want a little bit more of a lighter. Let me see now if textures. Yeah, no problem. Just 19 foot. Yeah, 1940s LA. No problem. Done and done. Fucking zoom in, you stupid. There we go. See if we don't want to bump up the. Yeah, I don't think I want that much texture on the purple. I'll get rid of that, but I think I like it on the bandages. It's a bit more feel a bit more bandagey. Danny, yeah, Danny will do no problem. That's still a bit much. Yeah, I like the texture here on bandages and everything else, but it's a bit too heavy on the purple, so I think I'm just gonna make that nice and slick. Yeah, bit of contrast that way too. Okay, I think that's it. I'm just gonna see maybe G. No, not that. Yeah, it's a bit deeper. Okay. I think that's it. Oh. Oh dear. Actually, you know what? One small tiny thing more. Where's mommy? Just think a tiny bit of a highlight here. Don't quite like the I want to dull that down a bit. Okie doke. Right, well, I think we're donezo here. No worries, man. Sorry to kind of hunt me down, but yeah, I knew I wanted to do it. It was just a matter of like finding the time. And now I have what? I have 4 more covers to colour for Monday. But great, look, I'm really glad you like it, man. That's all I wanted. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I like the colour. I like that the green is in the ruby, and that kind of, you know, it's all nicely cohesive. So I'm quite happy with this now, and I'm really glad you're happy with it. I guess that's it now. I guess I should go to the toilet or something. I don't know. Hang on. See, this is always the fucking problem. There's always like one small thing. Where's my... Just a little... There you go. Now it's done. Right. There we go. Yep, I just can't stop. Right. Grand. Oh yeah, no worries, Jamie. I'm away to Africa on Tuesday, so you know, work away. But yeah. Great. Okay, that's excellent. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, thanks for keeping me company, guys. And yeah, it wasn't nerve-wracking at all for you to be watching with, but I'm glad you're happy. Yeah, I'm gonna just stop now because I don't know what to say anymore. Yeah, take it easy, guys. I'll catch you later. Good luck.